We're on the way towards deadline day, but an array of deals still need to be struck before the clock strikes 7:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Now that the two key dockers have departed, all eyes point to the Power, who are running out of time to bring in 4 rival club players. Meanwhile, there's a 4-club standoff between the Tigers, Suns, Hawks and Blues, all waiting for someone to make the first move to trigger David Zita's favourite, the trade domino effect we all yearn for. In the meantime, your favourite Fox Footy podcasters are here to comprehensively and humorously break down all the latest trade whispers on all your favourite audio platforms and KO Sports. Ben Waterworth with you, as is the new #1 ticket holder to the Lockie Schultz fan club, Max Laughton. Hello, Maxie.
Yes. Hello, Benny. I didn't know that Lockie Schultz was going to steal so many Brownlow votes off Nick Dacos next year, but apparently he's the best player in the comp.
I think it goes to show the Victorian bias that exists within the Australian Football League.
Yes.
That Max
Thanks,
didn't
Tom
know
Green.
much about who Tom Schultz, who Lockie Schultz was until about 4 hours ago.
No one has gone so
the start of the
quickly
trade period.
from underrated to...
You're going to call him overrated?
I did not
No,
say that
do it.
word.
Say
though.
it.
No, I won't. I won't,
Do it.
actually. I won't.
If you're listening to us, that is the voice,
Just walk
of
up to
course,
the
is
edge
the
of the
man
cliff.
who is keen to bring red faces to Fox Footy, David Zita. Hello,
So
David.
you didn't
Zero.
introduce me. Excuse me for not for speaking.
But at the start of trading day last
What
Friday,
happened?
you held up the big 0 for the number of
Why are you doing
number of
visual gags?
trades.
It's a plug for
visual gag.
Zero Labs, brought to you by Zero, the Fox Footy Lab. That's what that was.
did see what you
Not
did
a
there.
reference to the fact that the 0 trades have been done. I thought it would be funny. They didn't get a laugh on air.
No, disappointing.
I got the likes on Twitter, which I appreciate.
It's called X. This is the second week in a row I've told you that.
A fair few trades have been done so
It's in your
far.
name too,
Are
mate.
there any trades you are worried, Skeeter, that won't get done to start off?
I mean, the Asava Radaglia one is quite volatile at the
Surely
moment.
he can't go to the
yeah,
national
well-
draft or preseason.
Well, the
draft.
national draft, no, I don't think he will. But I just think if you're asking me what's in danger at the moment, it seems like just given the lack of dialogue on that particular trade at the time of recording
Yes.
of this audio-visual medium podcast, vodcast, you would say that it's that they haven't made much contact about this. So it's not looking great. But again, like anything, it's like you do with your homework. You know, back in school days, you do it late, you get it done at the very last minute, and then you go from there. Well,
He doesn't
maybe
strike
for
me
you.
as someone who would do that.
Well, he was a bit
No,
more.
I
sort of-
finished all my normal work and did it in class, and then brought my laptop and played Nintendo 64 games on an emulator. That's what I did in year 12.
Are there any deals that you think might not get done, Maxie? Because there always does seem to be one or two that
Yeah.
are left on the table.
And Geelong makes sense because we've seen over the last few years they very much like to play hardball. We saw it with Tim Kelly, who didn't move the first year and finally did the second. That got done pretty quickly the second time. But yeah, I could totally see Geelong playing as hard a ball as they can for Radaglia. The offer of 25, which we know will drop back to 30 odd. Most people think that's around the mark. I would think you can throw in a late pick and get that done, and it will eventually work out. So I think my assumption is always that everything gets done because 98% of it does, and picking the 2% that doesn't. I mean, one year wasn't it Jackson Haitley one year, and that didn't even mean anything to the Crows anyway because he didn't really do a whole lot once he got
Just
there.
got delisted a few weeks ago,
Exactly.
Jackson.
All right.
Factually correct.
One of our favourite,
bit brutal.
One of our favourite quotes all year was David King after round
yes,
3.
David King.
Lost to the Gold Coast Suns by the Geelong Cats. He said the Cats are cooked.
He said it. Oh, he didn't. No, this was the old first crack.
The old,
He said
in
it back
the
there,
new
in
first crack.
That's where the
he said the
important
Cats are
people
cooked.
go.
And despite a sort of a mid-season surge, they ultimately missed the finals. I've seen a lot of social media commentary in the past couple of days about what are the Cats up to. So they have pick 8 at the moment, so their natural first-round pick, but then they don't have a second, third or fourth rounder this year. They're a team that might be seen from a list perspective that there might be a bit of confusion about what this list looks like. They're playing hardball on an uncontracted Asava Radaglia. Their pick 8 supposedly is on the table, but from what other clubs tell me, it feels like it's a really... They're trying to. It's a high price that they're trying to sell at the moment. So, are you confused
sound like them.
about what the Cats are trying to do in this trade period by their lack of movement?
Not really. Well, do they have to be up to something all the time?
We
Like I know
always
they have been
suspect.
in the past, and that's worked for them. They got their premiership out of it. But I mean, last year, by virtue of all the things they did last year, it means they were set up for a quieter year this year. They've got pick 8 because of where they finished, but like it's not. It doesn't mean every year they have to be going.
So
all
with
out.
this list that they've got now, can they go again in 2024?
I think they think that they're still around the mark because they've re-signed. They've just re-signed moments before we came on air to date this video audio medium podcast.
Yeah, well done.
They just they just re-signed a bunch of veterans.
Zach
So-
Tilley, Gary
Stanley,
Rowan.
and Tui, yes.
So they clearly think they're still around the mark somewhere. Whether they think they're still in premiership contention, I would argue they probably do think they can still challenge.
Yeah.
If they get the injuries right, they get themselves a clean bill of health. They've had their first full off season now in since 2015, I think it
Yes.
was, which is ridiculous, nearly a decade.
14.
Something like that. So they're, I think I missed 15. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. I think they're still around the mark.
This
I don't think
speaks
they have to be up to something.
It speaks more to the weird year that they had on the field, where they had all those injuries. The midfield never got up to par. The guys who they tried to brought in, they played a lot of young guys in there, and kind of worked at times, but not really. They relied too much on Dangerfield, and they still had the 7th best percentage in the comp. They still had a very genuine chance to make the finals going into the last few weeks. And I think a lot of people, including myself, thought they would have been a threat in an elimination final.
Yep.
And we saw the Giants and Carlton make prelims, so Geelong certainly could have if a few more things had gotten right. And this year was a very even season where Collingwood ended up winning the flag while being the arguable best team, but you could have made the case for 4 or 5 teams over the course of the season. So when the race is so tight as compared to 2022, when Geelong was clearly the class of the comp, well, why wouldn't you think, hey, let's just go one more time? It's either this or we push guys out and really try our youth movement, but there's no need to be that aggressive.
And they
They're not that
haven't
far off.
and they haven't done that. They've struck
No.
this nice balance over many years now, where they've been able to kind of renovate on the run.
Yeah, they don't have the assets to make a sudden shift without doing a whole lot that you would not expect them to do as a club because they've been pretty loyal.
Is that a little drive-by to Giants and Carlton there? You're like, oh, well, Giants and Carlton made a prelim, so...
Well, they were in the
Geelong
bottom 4 at like mid-season, so I think
Yeah.
it was relatively surprising.
I think your hatred for Carlton's showing, personally.
And the Giants. So I'm finally targeting a small club. That's smart.
Oh, it's about time, too. Just goes after the big ones, these guys.
Speaking of a relatively smaller
Big
club,
club.
the Gold Coast Suns,
Oh,
who have
jeez.
been... Well, that's factually
Drive-by.
correct.
No, it's
They've got one of the lowest memberships in
part of the Australian AFL.
grassroots growth.
Oh, that's sorry, Max.
Thank you.
Ben King is their big A grader, right? And Craig Cameron earlier on Monday confirmed that a deal is in front of Ben King, contracted until the end of 2024. There is going to be a lot of Victorian interest, you'd sense, in Ben
Biased.
King. Hawthorn, Melbourne, Collingwood, you sense, St Kilda with the potential of reuniting the King brothers in the same team. And even though Essendon have splashed the cash in the free agency market this year, you'd sense that maybe they're a chance to splash the cash for Ben King next year. They're hopeful, the Suns, of getting in front of Ben King and his management a little later this year, so before Christmas. And you'd think Damien Hardwick would probably be part of the meeting and part of the pitch.
you'd hope
If
so.
you're Damien
Back
Hardwick,
to Cinque Terre.
Maxi, what is your pitch heading in to this? He's one of the more significant, I suppose, contract re-signings that they've had in their history, I think, the Gold Coast Suns. What is your pitch to Ben King?
Hey, have you seen our list and have you seen who we're getting in the draft? They've got, 4 potential first-round picks, 3 potential top 10ers coming in as academy kids. It's going to be an incredible haul once they eventually get all those guys through the door,
Yep.
if they live up to anything near what we expect them to. And they're already a growing young list, which he is a firm part of. He's seen how, they didn't take that step forward this year, but everyone thinks that they're a really good chance to do so next year. I'm on record saying that I think they could make finals with or without the Hardwick hire in 24. So they're very clearly in the window. So Ben King should know that quite personally. So the case to go to, hey, you're not going for success if you're leaving Gold Coast, because they should be coming to the period of success that we've been waiting for years and years right now. If he's leaving, it's to go to a big Victorian club and play at the MCG sort of thing, which they can never counter-offer.
You said on this podcast a number of times, Skeeter, that Ben King traditionally renegotiates contracts in the off-season,
Yeah.
often between trade period and
Yeah.
the end of the year. Do you expect it to go pretty smoothly from a Suns perspective?
I think so. They've been pretty confident the whole way through. I think everything on his side of things, he loves it there. He's bought a house, he's settled there. He loves the Gold Coast Suns. I think he wants to be a part of what they're building. I don't think it can get worse than where they've been. I think he's, we've seen stranger things happen, but I think he's in there for the long haul. So I think they'll be okay. Dimmer, I think if he's in his pitch, he's just like, remember they used to buy the old VHS tapes of the premiership wins? Now they're DVDs. Actually, now they're not anything. You just go to KO.
Max's dad used to produce them.
Yes, of course.
I wrote the copy on the back of them.
Did you?
sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's got the grand finals from like 2013 odd. If you look at the back of that DVD, I probably wrote that.
Good money?
Unless it's bad. No.
Yep. So I would put basically, you just get the 17, 19, 20 videos out, or
Yep.
you just put them, just Google it, and just
the
show them that.
KO
Say, hey, mate, this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to do the same thing here. So come on board.
Fair case.
The other one, just before we get into Australia's favourite segment, is around Melbourne and Adelaide. So Melbourne consistently reiterating, Skeeter, that Harry Petty is not for sale. He
touch
is
him, leave him
contracted until the end of 2025. We're keeping him. Melbourne, though, at the moment holds pick 6 and 11, plus they've got Harry Petty. They are, in the past couple of years, been well known for trying to get up the draft order. And we know, I think they have an interest in Harley Reid, but certainly they've got an interest in Zane Dersma. So brother of Xavier Dersma, who North Melbourne are looking at picks 2 and 3. I think Melbourne like Zane Dersma as well. He's played for the Casey Demons throughout the year. If Melbourne wants to move up the draft order to get a Reid or a Dersma, and Adelaide really, really wants Harry Petty, is Harry Petty that important for Melbourne heading forward to keep him instead of trying to get up the draft order this year, which they've tried to do the past couple of seasons? They try to get up to, I think, Bailey Humphrey last year, or one of him or Mateus Philippou.
I think if you could trade Harrison Petty and know that you're guaranteed to get pick 1, then maybe I'd consider it. I think, it's not a sure thing, even though it would be quite likely if they had the haul they would have gotten for Harrison Petty. But B, I think they're backing themselves in to get a flag in the next year.
Which is fair enough.
Which is fair enough, given the calibre of talent they've got. I think they're going, well, Harrison Petty's the solution to our forward woes. He's the guy that we need, even though he only played half a season there. But they see him as a forward. They see him as the solution to what their issue has been with their forward connection piece. Him and Van Rooyen being a really good tag team. And Tim Land, their manager, said today that he does see him as a forward. He's the forward from now on. So I think for them, they're prioritising a premiership or the pursuit of one over the long term, which would be getting Harley Reid in potentially by getting rid of Petty now, copping the downturn in the forward line for a bit longer. Yeah,
I get the sense that Melbourne have always wanted to try and bring in a young gun through the draft while they're right in the premiership window, and that's why they've tried. They tried hard last year, and I think they'll have somewhat of a go this year. They've already kind of somewhat had a go, but Harry Petty at his best, I think he kick 6 against Richmond.
Yes.
That was like, whoa, that was a performance out of nowhere.
The risk of all of this is if they're making list decisions based on one game against Richmond. Because he did kick 6 goals, 11 touches in that game, and he was the dominant force on the game. Only got 2 Brownlow votes. What do you have to do?
He got 3.
I don't have that up, unfortunately.
Okay, stand by.
How have you got that up there? How have you got the fact that you got 2 there?
I have a laptop in front of me.
We'll check who got the 3.
Well, he's speaking at the same time.
Oh, sorry.
He's an important figure in that forward
Can't
line because
multitask.
they clearly need to fix that, and that was the flaw that basically cost them 2 finals and cost them another straight set exit. So it's completely understandable. They do like trading up. They are zigging while everyone's zagging because trading up in the draft isn't overly common, but Melbourne has made it so, which I don't mind if it's a counter strategy. But it really just does feel like, to do a bit of a Brian Windhurst, the NBA reporter.
You're going to do the...
What is happening in Melbourne? It's just a very odd feel, isn't it? It does feel like they want to do something big.
Maxie trying to get himself as a meme here on the Fox Footy podcast. Have you figured out what Lockie Schultz looks like yet, Max?
I did have to double check last week. I figured it out eventually.
How would you judge him if you
He's a handsome fella, or is that what you mean?
I didn't say that. You said that. But what would
you said
what,
judge?
What's his sort of his aesthetic?
Young man.
Great.
What do you want from me?
I think you were better.
The point
This
is,
was better when we weren't on there.
You weren't 100% sure of his appearance.
As discussed, the rise he has had in the space of a week from half of Victoria, two-thirds of Victoria not knowing what he looks like, to being the key to Collingwood going back to back, is quite the incredible rise, is it not? He seems like a very good player, and he might suddenly be the best player in Collingwood's forward line.
I think for people who are new to this podcast, the audiovisual medium, is that Max hates Collingwood.
Incorrect.
And
Incorrect.
he despises them.
Incorrect.
And
Max hates being wrong.
It was a dark day in this world when the Collingwood won the premiership because Max was more upset than Anthony Bitselis, who was a Brisbane Lions supporter, a well-known Brisbane Lions supporter in the office here upstairs.
Yes. Another person you don't know.
And Max was upset, more upset. So that goes to show that the depth of Collingwood hatred he has. So it doesn't surprise me that he doesn't really rate Lockie Schultz, who's an inspired inclusion.
Max Gawn got 3 votes in that game.
Did he? Thank you.
There he goes.
28 touches.
Thank you for clearing that up, Maxie.